Hi, and welcome to Cult Flicks and Comic Picks. My name is Albert Smith, and I'm your host. And I just want to welcome you guys to our show. This is our second episode, and I'm just really happy to be back, and thank you all for the support and the likes. If you're watching this for the first time, or you're coming back and you haven't before, please go down in the comment section, comment, like, and subscribe, and then hit that little notification bell. And that helps us continue on doing the show that we're doing. Today, we've got another film and another comic book to talk about today. And I hope you're ready for it, because I tell you what, the movie we're talking about today, that one is a humdinger. So the film, I would say we should talk about the genre first. Back in the late 70s to the early 80s, there was this genre of film that came out in Italy, and this was the Italian cannibal film. And there were many different ones that came out. You had, of course, Cannibal Holocaust, which is the one we're talking about today. You had Cannibal Ferox, which is also known as Make Them Die Slowly. And you had, I believe it was called The Man from Green River, and all these other ones like The Cannibal God and stuff like that. But Cannibal Holocaust is really the movie that stands out from that genre. Cannibal Holocaust is like a whole nother deal than the other kind of films that came out. So to give you a little background on the film, the Cannibal Holocaust was directed by a filmmaker named Ruggiero Deodato, who was an Italian filmmaker, and he created a couple of notable movies like Live Like a Cop, Die Like a Man, which I thought was okay. It was kind of like a buddy cop Italian film. And he also did a movie you might be more familiar with called The Barbarians. And that was a fantasy film that was made in the mid-'80s, and it starred the Barbarian twins. If you don't remember them, they are the two guys that were they were Barbarian twins, and they were like super buff, like Arnold Schwarzenegger or something like that. And they starred in a slew of films during the 80s, one of which is one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time, which is called DC Cab, which we will get to on this channel soon. If you guys like to remind me down in the comments, you can. So Cannibal Holocaust was made, and it was released in 1980. And this film was about a group of filmmakers that went into the Amazon to look for the last cannibal tribe. And they disappeared, and the footage disappeared. So this other guy went into the Amazon with them to retrace their footsteps, where they went, and he recovered the lost footage. And what he found disgusted him to no extent. So these filmmaker characters in the film, they were kind of like, how should I say it? They were kind of like reality show directors today. They would show up and cause things to happen on set and then film that. So you weren't really capturing real life. You were capturing a story that they created with these tribal people that lived in the jungle. And I tell you, it was horrendous. And the men, the documentary men, they would have sex in front of the tribal people. They would rape the women. And they also went in and just murdered and slaughtered real animals in the film. And this is why this film is such a infamous film in history is because they actually killed animals on set. Now, I do not approve of that. I am a big-time animal lover, but this movie becomes one of my favorite movies because of that, and the shock and the terror of seeing these animals, being cruelly killed on camera. It shudders. It makes me shudder to the core, and a movie should be able to do that. Cannibal Holocaust is a true film, I think. When I mean true film, I'm not talking about one of these like Hollywood Disney films that like Marvel or DC are making. That is the same thing over and over again, where it's explosion here, explosion there, hot guy here, hot girl there, and it's all just the same thing, same plot, but just different actors. No, Cannibal Holocaust is a real film where it makes you think about real things. At the end of the film, they slapped on this quote of who are the real cannibals. And I don't know if Deodato slapped that on at the end just to find some kind of artistic credibility with the film, or if he had that in mind the entire time. But it does pose a big question of who are the real cannibals. This movie is called Cannibal Holocaust, and you see these in the trailers and in the pictures, you see these gruesome acts being done by these different tribal people. But yet, when you watch the film, you find that really it's all been instigated by these white people that come in to this town and start disturbing things that they shouldn't be disturbing. And if you even take that to a higher level of just, who are the real cannibals? Well, like, those people are making that entertainment for who? They're making it for us. Because we are the people that take in things like that and spend our money on it. It's kind of like the old Greek and Roman days with the gladiators in the Colosseum, where these people would die for entertainment and kill for entertainment, and people would just be there cheering it on. Cannibal Holocaust kind of reflects that. To me, once you watch a film like this, it's kind of hard to go back and watch some contrived movie like Friday the 13th or A Nightmare on Elm Street. They become lesser than, Universal monster movies. You're actually watching animals die on screen as opposed to being exposed to a Hollywood set where everything is fake and everything's done with special effects and blood and stuff like that. No, this movie goes deep and hits you into the core of your being, and really I've seen people online like, oh, that movie was nothing. Oh, that was just boring. And it makes me wonder, as a society, like, what are we becoming? We're becoming so desensitized to this violence. It's like when I was young and when I was a kid, we didn't have the internet and streaming and stuff like that. And computers bombarding us with images all the time of anything we wanted to see. So when you hear a little bit about a movie like Cannibal Holocaust or Faces of Death or things like that, it was always like in hushed whispers and like, oh, did you hear about this movie? This is the one where they really kill somebody, or they really kill an animal, or something like that. And then people would have to go and like scour the video stores looking for Cannibal Holocaust, or I Spit on Your Grave is another film just like that, although nobody really gets killed or murdered in it. But with the streaming and the intake of of imagery in our brains nowadays, I feel like everything has really desensitized us to the real world. Especially when you see, like, you go on the news and you see like the horrors of war, or even the horrors of what could happen down the street if somebody got in a car accident or whatever, So this movie really does make a point with that. Who are the cannibals? What do you guys think? Leave me a comment down below. Tell me what you think about that. Maybe you've seen the movie before, maybe you haven't. Maybe you have an opinion on things like that. I'd like to know, and like to discuss it with you guys. So yeah, this movie is available from Grindhouse Releasing, and one of the good things is it has an option to where you can skip over the animal killings, the animal cruelty in the movie if you don't want to see it. And I'm telling you that this movie is very realistic. So realistic that the Italian government brought Deodato, the director, into court because they thought that he had made a snuff film. And he had told the actors once the movie was finished and it was out, not to work or not to show up in public for at least a year, to kind of give the film to kind of trick the audience into wondering, oh, what's happened to these people? And he had to go in front of the Italian government and bring these people with him, the actors, to show that they were not dead. One thing I'd like to talk about is the music for this film. And you would think that with a movie like this, the music would be all like your typical cheesy horror film music. But in reality, the Italian composer for this made this beautiful, dramatic music to go along with these, to mix with these images of violence and destruction. And it just mixes so well together that it takes the movie up to a different level. And I don't think any other cannibal film has come close to this. Even with the likes of like Eli Roth, he created that movie Green Inferno. And that movie was kind of like a love letter to Cannibal Holocaust and those kind of movies from back then. But even still, with Green Inferno, you know that it's all special effects. It's all fake blood. And at the end of the day, the people in that film are walking away safe and sound. Cannibal Holocaust, you don't always know that. And I must say that when I first saw it years ago, I thought that like maybe these people really did die. But luckily, I was able to do some research and found out that they weren't. But still, even though you have brutal killings of animals in the film, there's a scene where a giant turtle, probably about this big, is decapitated and its shell is ripped open, and they all play with the innards of it. And there were a couple of monkeys that got their heads chopped off on camera. And they did a couple of them because they felt like they didn't get the shot correctly the first time. So I'm glad those kind of things don't happen anymore. But it is there to watch. It is there to see. And I don't think that should be taken away either. I think it's like a timestamp of a moment in time that we can go back and watch. And Deodato, when he's asked about the animal killings in this film, he was often cited as saying that it was the Japanese market that really wanted the animal killings in the film, thinking that it would sell even more over in Japan. But I really couldn't tell you one way or the other. So I would highly recommend this film if you are a horror film lover. If you are a found footage lover, this is the precursor to the Blair Witch Project movie I didn't like very much. But if you're into that kind of, what is it? Would it be cinema verite, the found footage type thing? If that's what you're into, then please go find Cannibal Holocaust, and that will really pique your interests. And I hope that, like, if you watch that one, it might open you up to more Italian cannibal films, because the other ones are that have been made in the past as well are really good. They just don't hit that standard of Holocaust. And I think like movies like Cannibal Ferox it's also called Make Them Die Slowly, also used some of the animal killings from Cannibal Holocaust in their film as well, to try to spice it up a little bit. But none of those other films are like found footage films, so the whole fourth wall thing is not broken, and you're watching a contained story with all these other cannibal films, whereas with Cannibal Holocaust, it feels like you're right there with them. So give the movie a chance. Like I said, if it's not for you, it has rape, it has torture, it has animal killings. It sounds like a great family movie, right? But if that's not your thing, then that's not your thing. Don't worry about it, But if you like the down and dirty grindhouse exploitation type of stuff, by all means, this is a really great film. With new companions sci-fi geek Izzy and super cool spy Faye by his side, the Doctor must confront an armada of his deadliest enemies. Classic foes, the Daleks and the Celestial Toymaker, are joined by high society vampires, killer chimpanzees, psychic parasites, the dreaded Elysian cult, and the trans-dimensional conspirators known as the Threshold. Hi guys, welcome back. This is the comic portion of our show. If you're liking what you see, please just like, share, and ring that little notification button down below. Today, what we're talking about is a Doctor Who graphic novel called Endgame. And this is it right here. And it's about the 8th Doctor Who, played by Paul McGann. So, this is actually a collection of stories that were printed in the Doctor Who magazines back in the 1990s. I kind of need to go into a little bit of history here before I talk about this. The original Doctor Who was canceled in 1989, and we didn't have any more new shows coming out. Besides, there was a 30th anniversary show and Dimensions in Time, which people hate on, but I really love, because for one, it's Doctor Who, and for two, it's my favorite era of EastEnders, and combining those two together I thought was awesome. And with in 1996, the BBC teamed up with Fox Studios here in America to create Doctor Who the movie. And that was going to be kind of like a backdoor pilot for a whole series of Doctor Who, if the was successful on the show, on the channel. Unfortunately, over here in America, it did not do very well. But over in England, it did very well. And I wish there was a at least one season of Paul McGann back then, but I guess it was never meant to be. But during the wilderness years is what they call it now, the era where there was no Doctor Who from '89 up to 2005 before the show came back. The only way you got like new Doctor Who stuff, stories, was either through the new adventure novels by Virgin Publishing, or you're going through the Doctor Who magazine. And every month, Doctor Who magazine has like a 4-page, maybe like 4 to 6 page comic strip that would appear. And the comic strip to me was like the most important thing. I love the art. It has the art has influenced my work, my artistic work over the years, and I'm talking about guys like Lee Sullivan. His artwork is just amazing. Nowadays I'm working for a company called the Celestial Toy Room, or for a magazine where I do artwork for them, and I am heavily influenced by his work and the other guys that worked on this comic during the '90s and during the early '80s, late '70s, and that's talking about Dave Gibbons. And so with Endgame, they wanted to make Paul McGann the Doctor in Endgame. They wanted to make Paul McGann the Doctor in the comic books, so they ended Sylvester McCoy's era in this really awesome storyline, introducing these villains called the Threshold. And I think, Russell T Davies, if you're out there and you're listening to this podcast and you might happen to hear me say a word, I think the Threshold would be a cool season villain for modern Who. But they were these like time traveling, dimension hopping dudes that had these like rings that would take them anywhere, and their bodies would just like transform into these like kind of like Zipatone looking images, which was really cool. And they reappear here in Endgame. But the cool thing about Endgame is the stories that are in here. They do like a mixture of old villains plus new villains. So it's like, it's like they're saying, okay, we're probably not going to get a Doctor Who season. This is our Doctor Who season. And it's really great because they go back and they use the Daleks again, which the Daleks are my favorite villains ever. And they also bring back a character that has been in the news prominently lately because he was just played by Neil Patrick Harris, called the Celestial Toymaker. Now, in the 1960s, Celestial Toymaker was played by Michael Gough. You might know him as playing Alfred in the Batman films. And he's also in a lot of different Tim Burton films as well, not to mention Hammer Horror. But we have, in the Endgame, we have the Michael Gough version of the Toymaker. And it's really cool because the first story even takes us back to a town that we've been to before in the Tom Baker comic book era and the Peter Davison comic book era. And we also get another companion named Max, who also comes up, which was a character I think made by Gibbons as well. And so you get these like familiar characters coming in to help usher in this new Doctor. And you also have, with the familiar characters, you have these new characters like Izzy and Faye. Now, Izzy is a pretty cool character because she's like a modern, by then, like a modern 90s woman. And she was also a sci-fi geek. So I think that went a long way with the readers, and that they could relate to her being like, talking about Star Trek or making Star Wars jokes inside of Doctor Who. But if you guys have a chance, I would highly recommend picking up the Eighth Doctor comic strips Endgame. It might be out of print. I think it's out of print now, but you might be able to get it in a different way. And it's made by Panini Books, and I believe the Doctor Who magazine used to be printed by Marvel, and then it went to Panini, or I don't know. But yeah, check this out. Probably the only way you're going to find it is on eBay or Amazon. I don't think you'll be able to pick this up at your local comic store. Or you could try Who North America if you live here in the States. Who North America is a Doctor Who store out of Indianapolis that specializes on everything Doctor Who. So if they don't have Endgame, they might have another one from that era as well. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in this time. Just want to thank you again for your time, and thank you for all the comments that you guys have been leaving. And it just helps me to move on and to keep pushing the channel and do these videos for you guys. And next week, we'll do another sketch. I'm thinking I might do Captain America. He's my favorite superhero. I'm not sure yet. Why don't you guys leave me a comment down below. Tell me who you'd like to see me draw next. And I'll take a look at it and see what you guys like. And remember, when I do sketch days, when I do the sketch days, the first person to make a comment on the YouTube comment channel, I will send you that sketch for free. Just leave your comment. I'll hit you up and we'll discuss how I can get it to you. Well, thank you guys, and thank you for tuning in to Cult Flicks and Comic Picks. I'm Albert Smith, and I'll see you next time.